My name is Colin Cotten. I'm an instructor at Saginaw and I train at Saginaw. I started training around 2011 when I was about 5. The reason I started training was, I think, mainly because my dad had passed away when I was about 5, a couple months before I joined. And then that's how I began my training to get me out of just being alone in the house, give me something extra to do. Whenever I was at that age, I felt isolated, especially like during school, because during school they had all their parents, they had mom and dad going to breakfast, dropping them off. But when I came to karate, it felt like, not that it didn't matter, but I had that family coming in, like I had a completed family in my eyes. TXBBA helped me through that by not just giving up even when it's a super hard time, or even when it's a super easy time. Keep working even through the hardest and the easiest times. That was one of the biggest things I would say that I got from TXBBA. And later on, my sister had joined, and then later on after that, my mom had joined from Parents on the Mat. She didn't do karate, but she did jujitsu, which then we did jujitsu together as a family. It impacted my mom by adding to our hobbies together, so giving us something to do together within the school, karate school, and outside of the karate school. It helped her by, I guess, keeping her distracted from some of the things that were going on outside of the karate school. Because I remember one of the things that you always used to say was leave the ego at the door. So whatever happened outside of the school stayed outside of the school. So that ego, or that line, followed us every time we entered the school. It just stayed outside of there, and we just did our jiu-jitsu, we had fun. Whenever I was about, I would say 12, it's about middle school, my mom had found out through a lot of tests and a lot of other things that she has multiple sclerosis, or MS, as some people might hear it as, which is something that like attacks the nerves, so kind of decays the nerves so you can't feel certain things. For some people it can affect their speech, how they walk, how they express emotions. But even with that, she tried to train as much as she could, even having that as much as she wanted. She wanted to come to the school as much as she could. Obviously, going back to that line, leaving the ego at the door, all the problems every time we entered the school just kind of left, and it was just jiu-jitsu and her. Man, I remember the day like the back of my hand. That day I was supposed to go to a morning football practice, and for some reason I was like, I'm not gonna go. So I just slept in, and I woke up to screaming, to a little bit of scaredness, and saw the ambulance coming. I saw her just frozen, them taking her out, and I didn't know what to do. I remember going to the hospital and trying to find her, and they ended up putting her in the ICU because for a while she didn't have any air going to her brain, so she was in the ICU. And seeing her was one of the worst things in my life, probably. We got to go into the room with her. I had to wear gloves because I couldn't actually touch her because we were in the ICU. And it's weird to say, but it's like if I didn't have gloves on and I just felt how cold her hand was. And I didn't know what to do. So we walk out of the room, and I didn't have to say anyone. I had to make one of the hardest decisions of my life. And that was either to keep her around, but she would not be the same, or to take the struggle and let her go. So I decided to let her go, because I didn't want her to go through the pain that she's been going through for the past years. And I would have much rather taken the struggle for her
than for her to keep that struggle with her. So that was one of the most, and I've never told anyone that, but that was one of the most life-changing decisions I've ever made. And I think with that decision, and with all decisions and how my life has come before this, I think has shaped my life. And if you were to ask me if I wanted to change that decision, I would say no, because I would not want her to struggle as much as she had struggled. And she was a fighter. If you knew her, she would not give up. With MS, she didn't stop trying to do jiu-jitsu. She didn't stop trying to have fun. She wanted to go out every weekend. She didn't like being in the house. But deep down, I knew she was fighting a war inside her, and I just wanted her to settle down and be at peace. Since then, I had found my way back into TXBBA, working at the Saginaw location, since that was a more newer, recent location opening up. And I mean, since I also knew the owner, Miss Jessica, since we were friends and she trained at Fort Worth before, I even had thought about working or being an instructor, working with her. I just led my way back, and then I just found my way back into something I'm used to, just doing karate. And I just wanted to share those moments with even students now, that it's not just about karate, it's about learning how to handle things outside of karate, whether it's physical and mental, without actually presenting those challenges in front of them. I received my black belt from TXBBA. I truly recommend to check out TXBBA, whether you are a kid, whether you're an adult. It does not matter if you're 60, it doesn't matter if you're 10. I think TXBBA can change your life mentally, physically. I think it is beneficial for all people, all ages, anywhere you are. TXBBA has changed my life, for sure.